Hey all, hello and welcome, Tony Bing here. For this beginner's guide video we will be having a look over Beast. He's a hero that initially I was under the impression that he would potentially just be a brawler, but he actually offers a lot more than that. He has what could be used as a movement build. He has summons that he can call in, which are great. He gets help from other X-Men, and he has his gadgets, and he's got his regular brawling build as well, so there really is a lot of variety to him. Now in this video what we'll do is we'll have a look at his attributes, traits and his resource first. Then we'll check out a few of his costumes, and he only has two, so it will literally be a few of his costumes. Then we'll have a look at his signature and ultimate, and finishing up we have 3 different gameplay run-throughs. The first one we will show off all his gadgets, the second one will show off the brawling side, and the third one will show off the X-Men summons. Now as always there are hyperlinks within the description of the video should you want to jump to any of the particular sections. But first up, let's have a look at the attributes, traits and resource. We start off here then looking at the offensive trait, and that is brains and muscle. So with this you gain a 3% flat critical hit chance. He gains a bonus from the fighting and intelligence attributes, 2 great attributes you want to stack either one. Fighting gives you crit rating multiplier, intelligence gives you crit damage rating, so they really are both great. For his defensive trait we have moving target, so he has health on hit, and also he gains a bonus multiplier to defense and dodge there. And finally, as a melee character he has the flat 8% damage reduction built into his kit. For his resource we have a unique mechanic, and this is called momentum. So you generate momentum by moving and using certain powers, and certain powers are actually augmented and made more powerful by spending momentum. And we've got 1 or 2 powers you can actually only use when you have a set amount of momentum as well, but we'll cover that when we look at the skills section of the video. Next up what we'll do is we'll check out a few of his costumes. As always we start off by looking at the default costume. In this case it's the Uncanny Inhumans costume, and he really does, no pun intended, look pretty beastly in this one. We then have the Astonishing costume. I really like this particular one, and I like all the different characters that have this same costume. I really want to have some kind of raid or party group with various heroes wearing the Astonishing costumes. That really would be great. Now next up what we'll do is we'll have a look at his signature and ultimate. For the signature we have a skill called Unleash the Beast, and I really do like this one. Beast goes into a rage and he bounces around the screen smashing the ground. So you've got your 8 hits in it. While you're actually channeling the skill you'll be invulnerable, and when the skill's finished you terrify the enemies for 3 seconds as well. Now this particular skill can be modified quite a bit through a talent. I won't show it yet as a spoiler, but in the third section of the video we have a modification of this signature, and it's really pretty awesome, so keep an eye out for that. But next up what we'll do is have a look at his ultimate. For the ultimate we have a really quite different skill here, and this is called Welcome to the Danger Room. So he throws down a portable danger room module, it opens up, you have the danger room visual, and then you get lots of saws coming out of the ground as well. Now on top of that, when he throws it out he jumps up to a hook hanging above him, and he actually hangs upside down reading a book. I really do like this one a lot. Now you also be invulnerable for the duration of the power as well, which makes sense because you're up there hanging looking like a cool guy reading that book. But I really do like this ultimate, it's a whole lot of fun. But next up we've got the actual skill previews. So what we'll do for them is we'll start off by looking at his brains side of things first, and this is all his gadgets. So we have a really unique set of skills that will actually show off here. Now the main spender that he's using to attack the enemies, I'll show that off in the last section of the video, just for the reason that we've got so many skills to show off here, we're a bit crowded. The first one we look at initially looks to be a pretty simple skill. It's Electro Catalyst. So it has your normal damage packet, it does 100% bonus damage versus robots, and it also has a stun on it as well. Now where Electro Catalyst becomes important and becomes more interesting is how it interacts with all your gadgets and drones. So if we look at the first one we have, this is Barrier Gadget. We threw that up a moment ago and it was a huge shield. Now when you throw this up you apply Unbreakable to yourself and allies, so with that you absorb 40% damage, which is a huge amount. You gain 100% projectile reflect chance for 5 seconds while it's up, and if you use Electro Catalyst to explode the barrier gadget, then what happens is you get a damage packet as well there, and other skills we look at interact with it in the same way, but they have different effects. The next one we look at is Deploy Gas Drone. So with this one you'll call it in and it will slow the enemy and weaken them. On top of that, if you were to hit it with Electro Catalyst, then it creates a static cloud dot in the enemy as well. That's really quite a nice effect there. We then have Deploy Adhesive Drone. So this one will make the enemy vulnerable and also it will immobilize them. On top of that, if you hit it with Electro Catalyst, you've got another dot here. So this particular dot is a chemical fire dot, it's called. The next drone we have is a unique one. Now, the other drones, when we use Electro Catalyst, they actually explode and you lose the initial skill, but with the Deploy Taser Drone, you've got shock damage that comes out it for a duration of 10 seconds, and when you actually hit this with Electro Catalyst, it stays around, but the shock actually attacks 100% quicker, so you're essentially doubling the attack power on it because it's attacking twice as fast. We can see it there. It's a pretty nice visual on it. I do like this one. Now, the final skill we look at, it's not a drone one, we've covered all them. The final skill is Grappling Hook Kick. So for this particular skill, it will regenerate momentum, 15% of max momentum per second, and you can channel it for just over 3 seconds. So this is roughly getting you in the region of about 40-50% of your momentum, which some of the skills we'll look at later in this video actually require. So it can be quite useful in that regards. But we'll fire off all these different drones on Shocker. The initial playstyle for the drones does seem a bit passive, but I would never group them all together in one build. I would mix them in with the various different builds, so bear that in mind when you are actually building Beast. But that's Shocker down, so what we'll do next is look at the brawling side of things, and this is very movement heavy and it's a whole lot of fun. The first skill we look at here is one that really has a lot of fun and we're firing it off right now. It's Savage Somersault. So you somersault towards the enemy, you have your damage packet, 1.5 seconds stun, and if you're above 50% momentum, it actually adds a bleed for 6 seconds as well, so it's pretty great. I do have a lot of fun bouncing around like this, I feel like Sonic the Hedgehog almost. Now next up we have Grappling Hook Slam. I fired it off a moment ago and he fired way up into the air and came down. Now with this, it can only be used when you're above 50% momentum. You have quite a large damage packet on it and you spend 50% of your maximum momentum to increase damage by 4% per 10 momentum spent, if that makes sense at all. And also it has a 2-second stun on it. Now while you're using the skill you gain a 50% damage resistance because it has got a bit of a longer animation, so you have to be careful in that regard. We then have a skill that we've seen on a lot of characters through these beginner's guides, and it's a beatdown skill. This one is called Bestial Beatdown, so it's 6 different hits he fires off in quick succession. The next skill we have is quite an interesting one. It's called Frenzied Lunge. Now you have 4 charges with this with a 5-second cooldown, and when you hit the enemy you'll do the damage packet, but on top of that, if you activate Frenzied Lunge 4 times within 5 seconds you enter into a bestial frenzy, and with that you restore 100% momentum and your abilities actually are enhanced as well, so you get a 10% damage boost and a 10% critical hit chance boost for 8 seconds, and you also have this red aura that applies to some of your skills, so as you're smashing around you see the red effect on them as well. You can see it, the aura on them right now, and you can see the effect there. Really pretty great, do like this. The next skill we look at is another one we've seen on quite a lot of heroes, and this is Flying Ferocity. So you'll do 4 different hits with this. It will weaken the enemy and you're actually invulnerable while casting it as well, so it can be a useful one to fire off if the enemy is about to use a hard hitting skill. Now the final skill we look at is essentially breakdancing. This is called Bestial Rage, so he'll spin round and kick with his feet. It acts as a dot while you channel it for 3.2 seconds. It makes the enemy vulnerable, and if you have momentum then you actually increase the damage on it as well. So that's all the brawling and movement side of things off. Quite a fun one to preview. Next up we'll show off what is essentially summons that you can call in. So just a few skills we have to show off in this section. The first one we'll show off, which we mentioned earlier in the video, is the main spender you would use, called Bestial Swipe. So if you have momentum with this one, it gains a 25% attack speed boost. Now the skills that we're really wanting to see here are the summon ones. The first one we look at is Friends in High Places. So this can only be used while above 50% momentum, and when you use it, Angel will, or even Archangel, will lift you up in the air and you both slam back down for a huge damage packet. I really do like this a lot, it's a whole lot of fun. Next up for the summon skills we have Blue Beatdown. So this particular one, when you're punching the enemy with all your barrage attacks, which we've just done there, you've got your 4 hits, but then Kurt will actually join you as well, and he does an additional 10 hits. So that's, again, a whole lot of fun. I think I'm saying that a lot, but he is a fun hero. We then have Psychic Implosion. So with this one, you call in Jean Grey, and she'll pull all the enemies together and do a large damage packet there. Now the final tooltip we showcase isn't actually a skill, it's actually a talent, but what this does is it modifies your signature so that when you cast it, your signature is Unleash the Beast, but when you cast this, Jubilee comes in as well and you get a massive light show of energy damage for 4 seconds. It looks really great, the signature looks nice as it is, but with Jubilee joining you it looks even better. Let's fire off all these summons here at the end anyway. There we go, as you can see that did look pretty great there. Now, as we kind of mentioned already earlier on in the video, he's a lot more than a simple brawling hero, so I wouldn't write him off for that reason. He does have a lot of variety in his kit. It was fun to do this particular beginner's guide for that reason there, especially like the summon section there. But that's another beginner's guide done. We've got 3 left to go. I'll hopefully cover them in the next week or so. Thanks for all your support during this video series, and I'll see you all again soon.